The Audit Tuesday topic today is BlackHat 2023. For this very important topic, we have cyber marketing and revenue expert Shaun Walsh. Hi, Shaun.
Hi, Ashley. How you doing? Garrett, good to see you.
Good day.
So first, Shaun, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Like many people in this industry, I started out life as an engineer. I was once in a sales meeting and told the CEO that the sales guys would be a lot more effective if they understood the product better. And ta-da, I was in sales. So I became a sales engineer, carried a bag for about a decade, moved back into the marketing side under product management for another decade. And then eventually ended up going into marketing because I like to talk a lot and they needed someone to go to trade shows.
So I assume you've been to BlackHat a few times, right? Including this year?
Yeah, I've been to at least 8, maybe 9.
So first of all, what is BlackHat and who goes and why did they go?
Sure. So historically, BlackHat was founded as a hacker conference. And unfortunately, the Fed started showing up because they needed good hackers to recruit for the FBI and CIA and all those other 3-letter agencies. Then, of course, when the Fed showed up, all of a sudden vendors said, well, there must be money here. So they eventually turned it into more of a trade show than, I will say, an information exchange program. And ironically, in, I will say, quasi-protest to the growth of BlackHat as a trade show, they started a subsequent event called DEF CON, and that's actually held right after BlackHat. So we did BlackHat from the 6th to the 10th. DEF CON is kicking off the 10th through the 13th, and we'll be there for that as well.
So what do you usually get out of BlackHat?
The thing that I like about BlackHat that's still different than RSA or Gartner or some of the other, I will say, more traditional enterprise shows is that you get the startup vibe. You get a much better feel for where the industry is going, what's changing in the industry. And again, when you think about most startups, they are usually disgruntled engineers who were frustrated because they couldn't get the next new cool idea done at the big company. So they've got some credibility, they leave, they start a new one, and BlackHat is one of the best entry points into the market. So that's why I always enjoy going.
So what are your thoughts from this year?
So this year was rather interesting. When Garrett and I were at Cylance, we were one of the first companies to start touting AI as a technology. And it was done, as a great pattern recognition tool that helped you identify the behaviors of malware versus the individual hash indicators of malware. And that ability to look into the attributes of what's going on is really the holy grail of what we want in cyber. I actually saw AI dropping over the last couple of years. Then, of course, 2023 became the year of ChatGPT and generative AI. So everybody was back doing AI. There were a couple of great articles that were released by CRN where they had, 20 most interesting things we saw and then 10 best startups. And I looked through those 30 companies and 18 of them had AI something in their description. So I guess AI is back to stay. So that was one of the I'll say the biggest things. The second is AI is stealing all the venture capital. I know Endor picked up about 70 million in their A round, but if you look at where the VC money has gone, it is shifted into AI and other platforms. So what I've noticed this year is a much more pragmatic approach, trying to tell people how they get jobs done, as opposed to just touting we're the next version of whatever. You've been using 1.0, 2.0 was announced last year. We have 3.0, buy from us. I saw a much more pragmatic approach to security this year than I've seen in other years. And I think the third thing that really stood out to me was the fact that people understand that the scope of security is expanding. And this is the thing that ties to some of the work that UAttest is doing. We've gone from, I'll say, the enterprise with people logging into the cloud or to their enterprise systems to now we have third parties risk management. We have the SaaS vendors. We have all of these things that are in the third party realm that we are now integrated and tied into, and where the wall of risk has disappeared and it's pretty much become everything. And this is why you see things like SASE and zero trust architectures coming on board, because you have to know who everyone is at every single touch point in your enterprise or cloud, and who else is participating in that. If they're a third-party SaaS vendor, if they're a cloud, a sub partner of your cloud, if they're an MSSP that are helping you support your security environment. So it's become more complex. There are more layers to it. And, like the old Kevin Bacon joke about 6 degrees of separation, you eventually know everyone. Well, if you have a digital presence, guess what? You're touching everyone else by at least 1 degree and maybe 3 or 4. So this is where I see zero trust and a big shift happening in the market to solve the Kevin Bacon problem of identity management.
Good stuff. So Garrett, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like this could go a lot longer on a Tuesday, because there's identity can be talked about, which still was a little frustrated not to see as much about identities that could be, and we can go on that in other terms. But the one that really surprised me was straight up governance. Okay, and I can see why, and I love what Shaun said about startup companies and the actual vibe of BlackHat. Well, guys, I built a couple of products from scratch, one being SecureUp. I didn't put a line of compliance in there, and that was a mistake. That's straight out. When I'm talking to these vendors, your products, these products need these. Let me take socks, for example. Okay, you take socks, and there's 3 main things that SOX cares about of IT. 1 is your code repository. 2 is your identities, especially on privileged access, right? And then 3 is security incidents and threats. Let me break these down for BlackHat. For code repositories, there really wasn't much there at all, and I almost can see why. But there were a lot of good stuff around APIs, and that was cool. Okay, there wasn't any governance around the APIs, but I like that. The one that was to me the most frustrating was the conversations I had around security incidents and threats. These people were all good, very BlackHat-ish, remember, I'm an identity guy first and then security second, very focused on the threats, very good. Watch what this widget did. I can show you this, I can this. I go, great. Once that happens, what is the process that the company buys this and say, we saw this happen, we took this action, and it was reviewed by this person? That is what you get asked for in a SOX audit. I literally had to get into Chicago-level conversations at Boots telling people that that's what it was. That's not my job, y'all. That's your job, the product managers, okay? To understand when you sell the product, which I didn't do at Secure, I get that. After you sell the product, what your customers have to do. On the good side, and I'll leave it with this, the people who are involved with privileged access management, they get it. They were really open. They're like, right, you built this workflow. You can do a test of this. We know we need this. So there's my take from BlackHat as a very biased now GRC person. Take it away, Ashley.
Perfect. So Shaun, how can people get a hold of you?
They can obviously find me on LinkedIn. On Twitter, I have a rather strange handle. It's called @Singulus, CINGULUS. The history of that is amongst my other strange hobbies. I am a member of a Roman Legion reenactment group, and my Roman Legion name is Singulus Tacitus Maximus, which basically in Latin translates to girth of the earth.
Shaun is one of the better humans on earth, y'all. That's pretty good.
Referring to my rather robust waist size. And then they can also get a hold of me on my consulting firm, ragnarmarketing.com, RAGNAR marketing.com.
Perfect. And then here at UAttest, you can contact us at info@uattest.com, and we'll execute on your identity, governance, and compliance needs. Thank you so much, Shaun. I really appreciate you being here today.
My pleasure.
Thanks a lot.